Hello, good evening, namaste, and welcome to Chitti Media. My name is Sharan Sethi, and you're watching the third Vaishali Dialogue. There is an organization based in Trivandrum called Arsha Vidya Samajam, who claims to have gotten more than 5,000 people back into the Sanatani fold who were either on the verge of converting to either Islam or Christianity or some other religion or had already converted. And a few of these names also include some of the radicalized minds who were de radicalized through an ideological debate based counseling program that they specialize in. And today we have two women who are the representatives of the organization joining us to share their personal stories. Please join me in welcoming Vishali ji and Shruti ji. Namaste Vishali ji, Shruti ji, how are you? And welcome
Namaste.
to
Namaste.
Right.
Sharan ji.
Vishali ji, let me begin by asking you this. What is the situation in Kerala as far as conversions, or should I say forced conversions, are concerned as of today?
Thank you, Sharan ji. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank Sharan ji and Chitti Media for giving us an opportunity to talk on this platform. So before we get to the situation of Kerala, let's understand what religious conversions are. The biggest threat or challenge that Hinduism faces today is the external threat that Hinduism faces today is religious conversion. Swami Vivekanandan had once emphasized that if a person converts from Hinduism into any other religion, it is not just the loss of one person from Hinduism, but the generation of an enemy itself to Hinduism. If you see the condition of Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Muslim-dominated Kashmir, or the Christian-dominated northeastern states, they are proof to this statement. These Semitic religions carry out systematic brainwashing of these people who have converted to these religions owing to manipulation, deception, ignorance, or any other drawbacks in Hinduism, such as casteism, which we've already done away with, or other anacharas by making them anti-Hindu, by turning them anti-Hindu first and then make them enemies of our own culture. They gradually turning them against their families, against the society, and against the nation itself gradually. So they do this by they have very methodical systems to ingrain it in the minds of people right from a very young age, from a very tender age through their madrasas and Sunday schools. They create a sense of separatism in their minds, and this is what happens once a person is converted. Now, if you look at the condition in Kerala, the condition is worse because in Kerala, Kerala is heading towards extremism, not just in terms of conversions towards Islam and Christianity, but also into other dangerous ideologies like Naxalism, etc., and turning people against the nation and the people itself, an individual against people, his own people, and nation. And it is very pathetic that the media and major political parties and government itself is not independent from the influence of these in Kerala.
Right.
So it is in this backdrop that Arsha Vidya Samajam works to overcome these challenges by not just overcoming religious conversions, but also fighting against other ideologies that are against the nation, culture, and our dharma.
Right. And Shruti ji, let me ask you this. A lot of people in the media and outside, they're confused with the very terminology used for love jihad. And they ask, they're very unclear about the definitional clarity on this. So, for the benefit of our viewers and for the benefit of those people who question the very existence of love jihad, could you please define it?
Sure, I'll define about love jihad. Uh, there are two types of saying are there. Some people say there are no love jihad is existing. Some say love jihad is existing. Before coming to conclusion, we have to understand what is love jihad is. Love jihad is used for a technique used by radical Muslims, those who try to impart Islamic ideologies everywhere and make the entire universe Islamized. So different techniques are used, and there's love also used for the same cause. That is how
So Shruti rightly pointed There are people who say there is love jihad and there are people jihad. But both these parties, first of all, need clarity on one thing as to what is love jihad. So we would rather say that the word love jihad itself is a misnomer, and we would say the more appropriate word to use is love trap jihad. So what is love trap jihad? Uh, Love, pretension of love, employing love, pretension of love, marriage, offer of marriage, sexual exploitation, blackmailing, or any of these methods to take people step by step into Islam, eventually radicalize them and turn them into extremists, and some of them employ some of them for terrorist activities. This is love trap jihad. So we have to understand here that the mode of conversion into Islam is not only through love jihad. There are several modes of conversion. It could be love trap jihad. It could be money jihad. It could be narcotic jihad. It could be intellectual jihad, charity jihad, many ways. But the very first step in converting anybody is trapping them through any of these methods and then brainwashing them. So trap and brainwash, that is the mode of first step of conversion.
Right.
And we can state examples of victims at each of these stages. For example, offer of marriage, the best example is that of Madhavi Kuti, who is a very famous poet in Kerala. A very popular ex-member of parliament and Muslim League leader had offered to marry her if she converted into Islam and accepted the name Suraya. So
Right.
she converted and she accepted the name, but the marriage never happened. Not just that, he was awarded a very huge sum of money for converting her. And if you see, if you consider love jihad and pretension of love, then we have numerous cases of interfaith marriages pending in courts today, numerous habeas corpus cases, police cases, and among the 5,000 plus people whom Asha Vidya Samajam has brought back through counseling, majority of them, a vast majority of them were trapped through love jihad.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Vishaliji. Shruti now you have a very fascinating story to share with our viewers, and you're sharing this for the first time. So, could you tell how you fell for this trap and how you could be brought back into our worldview?
Yeah, with pleasure. First of all, let me thank you, Sharanji, and thank you, City Media, for giving such an opportunity. And to say about my experience, it was 8 years back. I accepted Islam and accepted the name Rahmat. I born and brought up in a Brahmin family in Kasaragod district of Kerala. Even though I born in a Brahmin family, I was ignorant about our mother religion, Sanatana Dharma. And since childhood itself, I had a lot of doubts and lots of confusions, questions regarding Sanatana Dharma, uh, regarding Hinduism actually, because we hear only the name Hinduism or Hindu. Sanatana Dharma, I came to know the name just after I reached to Asha Vidya Samaj. Then since childhood, I didn't get any answer for these questions, doubts, everything I had in my mind. I tried a lot. My father and mother were ignorant. They hadn't such knowledge. They didn't get such knowledge from their ancestors also. So I can't blame them. So I tried to ask with the seniors in our community, but unfortunately, in Brahminism, there is in Brahmin caste, there is a concept, right? Ladies should learn this much, and ladies should not learn these things like that. No, they can't chant Om. Like lots of restrictions is there. No, so I was getting scolded like, why you are going behind these? These are not supposed to learn by women, girls. You are not supposed to ask such questions like that. So these blamings became a great obstacle in my path. So I couldn't go much more in these spiritual quests. So this every doubts, every questions kept unanswered in my mind, and the time went on. I came to my age of graduation. So I joined in a private college, Muslim Management College. Unfortunately, in my class, majority were Muslim girls. There was no boys at least at all. So what happened? These girls tried to evoke the same questions. They evoked the same questions which were haunting me since childhood itself. And I was focusing on my education and career, everything. But these girls, my friends, my classmates, didn't let me go in such a way. They asked frequently questions related to our dharma, regarding our concept of God, regarding our concept of life. And the questions were similar to questions I had earlier. So what happened? First time, I at the first stage, I ignored them totally. I ignored their questions. I ignored them. I told them, you people coming to learn, study, or religious purpose. Why you people are coming to college? Likewise, I asked it, but I can ignore people only. I can't ignore the questions asked by them. These questions raised again in my mind, and those childhood confusions again came. And I myself asked several times, yeah, why? What is the wrong is there if they asked about all these things to me? How can I blame them? Even I have such doubts. Even I born in this religion, but I don't know the things. And if I don't know, how they come to know? So if they are asking, I can't blame them. So I have to learn and I have to answer. That is what I felt and tried it. I googled, I searched it. I had the option only googling, and I had the option only searching in internet only. So different sites, different explanations. There I didn't find any uniqueness. So it created much more confusion. So what happened? From one side, these questions are from my classmates. From other side, I'm not getting proper answer. So this in this state of mind, I felt a vacuum in dharmic knowledge. Their role they played very well. They slowly learned about me, my character, my views, everything. And slowly they injected their religion into my brain. I was in a concept that there is only one God, and there is no different gods. If gods are there, means it will be just lighting uh, from the main god. Likewise my concept was, and my concept towards women was a little bit high. And it is because our Hindu women are getting illiterated just because of picturizing and documentizing in a downtrodden way, the way they are pictured in films, etc. If we see any film, if we see any posters, if we see in any stories, serials, everywhere, women in Hinduism are explained or presented in a bad way. So this makes the people think about our dharma and our women uh, in a different think in a different way. That was my concept was. So matching to that, they explained their ideology regarding women in their Islam. So parda system, about parda system, they said it is just because to uh, give respect to womanhood. Likewise they explained. So it was in a way that if anyone listen to their words, they will get attracted. Such a way they were explaining to me their regarding their every concepts, every ideologies related to Islam. They were explaining such a way. So I was doing my graduation, second year graduation onwards. So this is I began to search about Islam through my friends. They gave me pamphlets, CDs of speeches of different scholars, and books they gave. Likewise, at the very first stage, it was very good ideology what they gave me, and
Right.
I went deep in that. At the same time, I tried to learn about Hinduism again through internet. I tried to learn about Christianity through internet. Bible made me confused a lot. The first chapter, the first book itself, Genesis, I
Yeah.
became confused. So I couldn't move. I didn't feel to move ahead in Christianity. So I closed the Bible and I put it aside. And when I tried to learn about the Bhagavad Gita in through internet, Sanskrit textbook, Sanskrit scriptures, explanation, different explanation. So I can't conclude which is right, which is wrong. See, I how can I understand which is right, which is wrong? Not a person is there whom I know to clarify. So that study also stopped in halfway. What happened? I was getting knowledge fluently from Islam side only. So Islam, I went deep in Islam. I began to do namaz. I began to take roza. Likewise, after graduation, doing during my post graduation, my Islamic studies came to severe nature, and I came to the conclusion that Allah is the only God, and Muhammad is the role model whom we have to accept as role model to live. Likewise, my concept began, and the vibes of Muhammad, I was very loving them. I was very what they are idols to role models to live in this earth, on this earth. Likewise, I changed my brain, my attitude, everything got changed through these studies. After post graduation, I was teaching, and after teaching, I dropped my teaching profession just for Islam, because in Islam, women are not supposed to show their body or their modesty in front of other people. They are supposed to show their body, everything, in front of their husbands only, even if their father and mother. If I'm new to Islam, no, so my father and mother are kafir because they are
Right.
Hindus. So I'm not supposed to show my body, any part of my body, in front of my father, at least, even though they are the
Right.
reason to come to earth. uh, that is how it was. Very lots of cruel things I had to do. I had done during that time of my Islamic belief. I took the oath, shahadat kalima, and after that I wanted my namas, my rosa, everything to be accepted by Allah. So I have to accept Islam certificately. So telling lie at my home, I went out from my home and joined in Ponnani Maunatul Islam Sabha in Malappuram district of Kerala. It is also known as mini Mecca of Kerala. So I joined there. Began study Islamic studies there. During that time, before completing my course, the 2 months Islamic course is there. So before completing my course, my father and mother, my family members, everyone uh, put a complaint, man missing complaint there in my native place, police station. And with the help of police force, they anyhow searched my where I am, and they came Ponani, and from there they took me to judicial court. There I said to magistrate that I want to learn and I want to live in Islam itself. I don't want to be Hindu again. Uh, but for 2 days, I will go with my parents. That I said just because to my mother's condition was like that. If I go to Islam again, or if I go to Ponnani again, my mother and my father would have passed away that time itself, because my father's hand there was a poison bottle, and my mother's health condition was in such situation. So I had to say like that. But I have written and given to uh, uh, upon any institution that I will come and I will rejoin the course again. That is how I wrote there. But in front of magistrate, I had to say like that I will go with my parents for just 2 days. After that, I would like to go to Ponani again. That is how I wrote I told the magistrate, wrote down the same thing. And for 2 days, my parents got me in such a way that 2 days was the another turning point in my life.
And how did you come about embracing Sanatana Dharma again?
In these 2 days, my parents took me somewhere in Karnataka to make me vomit. The black magic entered in my stomach. No, they could win in that. They could make me vomit the things which I ate morning time, everything, and I vomited. But the ideologies entered into my brain that kept there itself. What I mean to tell that there is no black magic used by any Muslim people to make converted. This is their ideology they are injecting towards
Right.
people. Okay, it's not black magic. So the viewers should understand that something we eat, something we drink will be in our stomach. It will not evoke any ideas or any ideologies in our brain. It is the principles or things, ideas, everything they impart to our brain. That is what we have to wipe out, not the things which we eat or drink. So for the ideological change, we should give strong ideas to clear out that. That is what I mean. I came, my parents took me to Arshavidya Samajam later by the help of different Hindu organizations. And
Right.
while I came coming here, lots of people were explaining about our Guruji, Sri Acharya Manojji, that he is well renowned person and he is well versed in every religion. He is well versed in yoga and everything. So lots of praising words I was hearing. So the jihadi Rahmat, that time I accepted the name Rahmat, no? So we can use that name. Jihadi Rahmat was in a decision that yeah, I am sure that Islam is the ultimate truth, and I can change any person. I was in such confidence that I know everything regarding Islam, and this Hinduism is not a good one. This religion is a bad thing, and I can change any person who coming in front of me to change me. So
Right.
that confidence made me think about changing or converting our Guruji itself. So when I came in front of Acharya ji, Guruji, what I said, don't use the name Shruti. I was very arrogant, and I said him, don't use my name Shruti. My name is Rahmat. I accepted the name Rahmat, and I am Islamic follower now. You can call me Rahmat only. So with the patience, with much patience, I put my hands together. The patience he showed that time. He smilingly he said, "Okay, if you wish to, if you are wishing like that, if you are like to call like that, I will call you Rahmat. No problem. What this is not the matter. What is your name? But let us be in a discussion. And if you are able to convince me, I'll sure I will accept Islam. And my students, my disciples are here, and they will also come to Islam. A
Right.
chance for you." That is how he began the talk. And 2.5 hour talk discussion happened that time. And another condition I put was I will talk in using Quran only. I don't want to listen about your Vedas. I don't want to listen about your Bhagavad Gita and all. My spiritual text is Quran. So putting Quran in front of us, we can begin our talk. Likewise, I put a condition. That also he agreed. He didn't deny. That made me think, what is going on here? He
Right.
kept different publications, different Quran in front of me. I thought there will not be any Quran in front of in his hand, but different Quran textbooks were there. So I began sweating, and after that he opened each and every one by one chapters, and he made me read that chapter, single lines, verses from that chapters, and he just advised me, see,
Right.
Rahmat, you have intellect. Don't be a hardcore Muslim. Don't be a hardcore Hindu. Be a pakka human being. And you have intellect, you have reasoning power. Being a human being, use your intellect, use your reasoning power, and first you read that verse, and using your intellect and using your reasoning power, come to a conclusion. Let us discuss about on that. After that, let us finalize which is right and which is wrong. Am I right or wrong? He asked me. It was the moment I felt an easiness there. Till then, I was uh, um, I was feeling like a heavy stone kept on my heart. The moment when he advised me in such a way, I felt, yeah, somewhere right, somewhere he's right. So I read. So the same confusions I felt during my Quran reading before coming to Arsha Vidya Samajam, before coming to joining in Ponnani, I began to read Quran at the last stage. While I was reading Quran, no, I was feeling lots of contradictions. And even if I read storybooks in Islamic storybooks also, I was feeling contradictions. So I couldn't think more about that, because in Islam, fear of Allah is said, no, fearing Allah is the main thing. So Allah decides everything. Good, even though it is good or bad, everything is decided by Allah. We human being are not supposed to question him or think like questioning him. So when I felt the contradictions, I couldn't think much more on that, because I was fearing Allah. I was in a mental stage that I want to be the perfect in front of Allah, in perfect Islamic woman in front of Allah. So that purpose, I couldn't think much more on that. But here in Arshavidya Samajam, Acharya ji is giving me such a moment that where I can I came to the same situation what I felt while reading Quran. Now again, I am feeling contradictions here. Good and bad is from Allah itself. So women are said compared to cultivation land here. How it come to truth? How a God, supreme power, can compare the human being here to a land, for a cultivation land? How can he compare like that? Likewise, each and
Right.
every verses he made to read, and I myself was coming to a conclusion. It was uh, he didn't use any miracle. He just motivated me to think in a proper way,
Right.
and I could come back to my mother dharma.
Right.
And since then onwards, I decided my life to spare my whole life for the Sanatana Dharma Pracharana and Samrakshana.
What a beautiful story you shared with us, Shruti ji. Thank you so much for it. And we can only do
I
nothing but
one more thing
admire
I
you.
would like to pardon.
Yes, please go ahead.
One more thing I would like to add, that uh, for the girls who came here, who were victims of intellectual jihad and love jihad, for the students who came here, I explained my experience, and it we published it in our YouTube channel, Arsha Vidya Samajam YouTube channel. It is in Malayalam, but the subtitle is there in English. It is 1.5 hour talk, and but I wrote my experience, and this is my book, Story of a Reversion.
Right.
This is the name of book, and we will provide the number to book the book, everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to provide the link in our social media description.
Thank you.
But on that note, let me revert to you, Vishali ji. Now, what Shruti ji has told has a few dangerous underpinnings. One is that since Sanatana Dharma is so diverse, since it is not codified, since it is not monolithic like the other religions are, we have multiplicity in terms of who we worship, what we worship, and how we decide to celebrate Dharma, right? Now, this seems to be exploited on multiple fronts, and different minds are being trapped and radicalized. But you have seen these cases and you have also been a victim to it. So, could you share your story and also tell how people are trapped so easily?
So my story, to say my story, I had a similar experience like Shruti ji's. I come from a very ritualistic Hindu family, a very strong Hindu family, but we do not know the meaning of the rituals that we are doing or why we do a certain thing. So my upbringing was, if I had any questions to ask my parents, or if I had any doubts regarding my religion, they were mostly unanswered. So such things lingered in my mind, and I was a spiritual seeker from my high school onwards. So I always had certain questions in mind as to what is God, or what is the concept of God and spirituality, etc. So since I could not get my answers within my religion, I had turned a little agnostic towards my college days. And I was browsing for information from all sources, probably books, probably internet, etc. And like Shruti ji said, there is no one source or one answer when it comes to Hinduism. There are multiple things, multiple concepts, multiple uh, deities, multiple cultures, multiple rituals, etc. But when it came to Islam, I could see that there is uniformity everywhere. And when I started working after my college, after my engineering, I started working in an IT company. I was surrounded mostly by Muslim friends, colleagues, and it was through conversations with them that I got more and more inclined towards Islam. Eventually I was able to defend most of the questions that they were asking, but later, even though I was defending, I had their concepts were getting into my mind, and somewhere I felt that they were right, even whether they were right or not. I started feeling that they were right, and that's how I started getting more and more inclined towards Islam. And I thought that in order to learn Islam deeper, I should study it. Learn Islam formally from a conversion center. But exactly before I could do such a thing or get into a conversion center, my parents intervened and they brought me to Arsha Vidya Samajam. And I was able to come back. I was able to understand that I was wrong, and how I was made into believing the fallacies of Islam, and I could understand the magnificence of Sanatana Dharma and come back through counseling at Arsha Vidya Samajam by
Right.
attending here.
And who are the targets usually? What kind of people do these people target?
Basically, the target can be anybody. Earlier, it was like poor people were targeted, or people from not so well-off backgrounds were targeted. But these days, everybody can be targeted. It just depends. For example, there might be people who do not get love or attention at home, or there might be people who are seeking love. So in such cases, it is this love trap jihad that comes into the picture. Or there might be spiritual seekers who are very curious and inquisitive about a lot of things. They want answers to their questions. Then it is intellectual jihad. People ignorant about their dharma. The basic reason is we are ignorant about our own dharma. We do not know, lack knowledge about what Sanatana Dharma is. That is the basic thing. So basically, anybody can be targeted. It is just based on their interest. Love jihad, intellectual jihad. If somebody is looking for money, then it could be job jihad or money jihad, land jihad, charity jihad for people who are very poor and from not so well-off background.
Right. Are there any more case studies that you can share from your organization? And now, since Sanatana Dharma doesn't have a ritualistic way of doing a ghar wapsi, quote unquote, so how do you engage with radicalized minds and de-radicalize them, and again bring them back into the fold of Hinduism?
Yeah, we bring back those people who are radicalized through 4 different courses we have. Our course's name is Adhyatmika Shastram and Arsha Yoga Vidya, Bharatiya Sanskriti or Cultural Heritage of India, and Students Excellence Program. These are the 4 different courses, and we are giving these courses in 4 levels. Each course is having basic, TTC, advanced, and master levels. And very first, we are giving the basic level of courses. If I say about Adhyatmika Shastram course, these all courses are framed by our Guruji, Acharya Shri K.R. Manojji. He got the knowledge from including the knowledge he got from his 3 main Guru Paramparas and from his intuitions. Including all these knowledge, he formed a very clear, intellectual and reasonable syllabus for that. And through these syllabus-based courses, these 4 courses are. And Adhyatmika Shastram course means for everything we have courses in our society, right? To make a God, we have, if we need to make our God, which we what we keep as a pet, we have to make it as a police dog. We have training centers. Different training centers are there, trainers also are there. But to an individual, there is not such an institution where we can train any person what is Sanatana Dharma and what is our duties are towards our dharma and towards our goals, towards our life itself.
Right.
There is no such opportunities. Such institutions are not there. Such trainers also are not there.
Right.
We have lots of texts, that I agree. But what happens? We can't give an LKG student an MBBS student's textbook. Intellect
Right.
is different. The intellectual level is different. LKG students' intellectual level and MBBS students' intellectual level is different. So we can't give. Our all textbooks are written or it is formed by high intellectual people. So for a common man, if you provide a Bhagavad Gita textbook, a common man who is in his he's a agriculturist, suppose he's an agriculturist, and we are giving him a Bhagavad Gita textbook, and we are explaining him what is Atma and what is other things and all things from Bhagavad Gita. He will ask, what is Atma? How it come to use for me? I want to fill my stomach at noon. How it will use for me? How it will come to use for me? That will he will think, right? So before entering to textbook, Sanatana Dharma is something more is to know. That is what we are giving through these Adhyatmika Shastram courses. In the basic level of Adhyatmika Shastram course includes the term, from the terminology itself, we are beginning the course. What is Sanatana Dharma, how the name came, and what is the meaning of that name, which are the other names of our Sanatana Dharma, how these all names came, whether it is a man-made religion or it's a given by Ishvara. What is the concept of God in our Sanatana Dharma, and what is the concept of life in our Sanatana Dharma, Panchamahayajnas and Purushartha Jivana Darshanas, everything we, Dharmartha Kama Mokshas, everything we include in basic level course. Plus we provide comparative religious study, through which what we mean, we are giving the students such an opportunity. They can learn Sanatana Dharma and Indian and other non-Indian religions as well, the same way how we teach Sanatana Dharma. From the terminology itself, they can learn. So using their own intellect and using their own reasoning power, they can come to the point which is right, which is wrong, in such a way. Ancient Tarkashastra Riti of Tarkashastra method of our Bharatiya Tarkashastra method is we are using here.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. And, Vishali, could you share a couple of case studies that you've come across? We were discussing about this English boy who came back to Kerala, and also one of the girls who was about to go to Yemen and was intervened by the Kerala High Court.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that. So this boy, he's just a 14, 15-year-old boy who's been studying in Britain. He's basically an Indian, settled in Britain with his family, studying there since his childhood. So he's surrounded by Muslim friends who have been ideologically injecting him the so-called goods of Islam from a very young age. And at this age itself, he is uttering Arabic verses. He's offering namaz, and he's very strongly into the Islamic ideology. So this is about him, and we're trying to bring him back through our counseling. And the other case is that of a lady from Palakkad who had converted intellectually into Islam.
Right.
And when she was brought to court by her family, asking why, I mean, the court asked her, why do you want to follow Islam? And she had taken a passport to go to Yemen. So when the court questioned why she wanted to go to Yemen, she said that she wants to graze sheep and learn Islam in all its purity. This is what she said. So this is the extent of brainwashing that people are uh, subjected to.
Right. Very interesting. And do you think the media supports this sort of nonsense that goes on?
In Kerala, it is like we said earlier, the situation is very pathetic. Media, the government, the opposition, police, everybody is not independent of the independent from the influence of these conversion forces.
Right. So they are compromised to a very large extent. Interesting point. And Shruti ji, let me ask you this: what kind of challenges do you face on a daily basis? Because bringing back 5,000 people is not a small number. So I'm sure each of these individual cases must be so difficult for you to deal with, right? With all kinds of challenges coming to you. So what do you face, and what are the challenges that come in your way?
Like Vishaliji told, government and the police force, everyone is against us now. So without support, we are moving ahead. Since 99 onwards, we are working in rental premises. That is the main problem we are facing. We don't have our own building. What happens? We are taking cases like love jihad victims and like intellectual jihad victims. We are focused right now. Our Acharya ji and we main workers are in hit list of Muslim jihadis. So IB itself informed us not to travel in Malabar area of Kerala because we have threat. So even in such situation, we are working in rental premises. What happens when we move in a smooth way? These jihadi people try to influence our house owners, and what happens? They fearing the jihadi people. They are making us go out from these premises, and we are in threat that when these house owners will say that right now in such situation that we have to move from this rental premise, and yet not we got any our own building here in Trivandrum. We have a plot, but we couldn't construct a building of our own because we lack of fund itself. Financial obstacles are there, and the COVID situation is also is there. So this is the main problem we are facing.
Right. And, Vishaliji, we were talking about how soft power as an entity sort of pushes and peddles the agenda of Islamists in Kerala. And movies are a major facilitator for this. So, can you give us a few examples of how movies in Kerala film industry actually soft pedals Islamists?
Yes,
Yes.
movies basically portray Islam and Muslims in very good light, whereas it is the opposite for Hindus. They portray Hindus in very poor light. They show Muslims as very nice people, peace-loving people, very charitable people, whereas they portray Hindus as very ignorant people who do not know about their own religion, and very backward people or antisocial people. That is how the portrayal in the picturization of the song, picturization of the movie, the script of the movie, everywhere, directly or indirectly, they showcase Muslims as the nice people and Hindus as the bad people.
Right.
That is how they use movies for.
And do you also think that, on a larger picture, there is that regionalism in South India that probably acts as a barrier for dharmic people around India to unite?
Yes, we'll have to say that, especially in the case of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, etc., there is a regionalism and language barrier. But to specify the case of Kerala, Kerala is mostly underrepresented, mostly maybe because we have very few MPs, about 20 MPs representing Kerala, and nobody usually talks about Kerala. What happens in Kerala usually stays within the boundaries of Kerala, and it is not getting national attention. I think that is
Right.
something we need to
Right.
overcome.
And my last question to you is, what are the distinctions that you find between Islamists and their quest for love jihad and Christian missionaries? I mean, either of you or both of you are welcome to answer this question. Vishali ji, do you want to go first, and then maybe Shruti ji can answer?
Yeah. So basically, conversion of Hindus is happening both into Islam and Christianity. But the difference is that Christianity is a little more reformed now compared to their religious texts. They have reformed a lot over the years and centuries. Although conversions are happening into Christianity, they are only ideological conversions, and it ends with that. Whereas with Islam, it is not just conversion, it is radicalization and taking them into extremism and terrorism in some cases. So there's a violent factor involved in converting into Islam, but
Right.
that's not the case with Christianity right now.
Right. And Shruti ji, what would your message be for people who romanticize these notions and concepts?
See, we are living in a place where lots of famous women were lived earlier times, in ancient times. In Bharata itself, we have lots of famous personalities, women personalities that there. In Vedic period itself, we can see lots of people, lots of womanhood. But why current generation is falling prey to this Muslim or any such what rascals? Why it happens? Because our education system is changed a lot, isn't it? See, the same atmosphere, same place, but the education system is different. We are eager to make our children engineers, doctors, and other professionals, but we are not focusing that our girls and boys both should need good character, good conduct, everything. We are not giving them dharmic values. We are not making them learn dharmic values. We are not giving them proper role models. We have lots of people as role models. Why we are teaching Ramayana and Mahabharata to our kids? Because let them make each and every right characters in those itihasas role models in their life. Our ancestors were teaching Ramayana and Mahabharata just for that. But the everything is changed right now. Everything is vanished out itself. What happened? What is happening right now? So we have to change the educational system. We should give three important reasons we have to keep in mind. We have to focus that three important reasons are there because for the religious conversions. As we know, religious conversion is the main problem which our Bharata and our Hinduism is facing today. Just because of the religious conversion, we lost our the parts of India, that is, became Pakistan, became Afghanistan, became Bangladesh, just because of religious conversions. And these three reasons I told just a moment before. First reason is we are not providing dharmic education for our generation, our people, our generation.
Right.
We have to teach them our shastras in a based on syllabus itself in clear cut way, so that they can answer any questions, any fake stories. If anybody tell to them regarding our dharma, they can clearly answer, strongly answer, boldly answer. But we are not providing that. We have to provide them. And the second reason is we are not providing clear cut history. We have to teach them our history, how these Mughals came here and what they done here, and how these Mughals became great in our school history and college history, how Alexander became great in our school history and college history. That is what we have to teach them. And we have to make our children that take role models from the real Indian history, real Indian independence history, real Indian Renaissance history. We have to teach them. The third reason is we are not making our children knew about what is currently happening in our society. Our college, school going kids everywhere, each students are engaged in TikToks, Mojo, like apps are there, no? In such things they are engaged. Their brain is full of like that, how next reels should be, how next TikTok video should be. Likewise, they are thinking. They
By
are
the
not.
way, there is a lot of radicalism through TikTok as well. There has been a study of this. A lot of people
Yeah,
are being radicalized through TikTok.
that is what I was saying, no? Through these medias also, through these apps also, these people are catching our kids.
Right.
We have to change the situation.
So
We
very
have to
beautiful.
educate our children.
Right. Thank you so much, Shruti ji. Vishali ji, what is the way forward and how does ABS plan to deal with this issue, remembering the challenges that you already have?
The only way forward we see is proper education about Sanatana Dharma. Unless we teach Sanatana Dharma from a very young age systematically through a very proper syllabus, like what we do at Arsha Vidya Samajam, unless we do that, we are headed towards a very devastated future. Because it is lack of knowledge, it is our lack of knowledge about Sanatana Dharma that the other religions are banking upon to convert us. So
Right.
a proper study, that is Arsha Vidya Samajam, performs these 5 kartavyas of Sanatana Dharma, that is Adhyayana, Anushtana, Pracharana, Adhyapana, and Samrakshana of Sanatana Dharma. So unless we perform these 5 kartavyas, 5 duties of Sanatana Dharma very systematically, that is the way forward. That is the only solution we can offer.
Right. Thank you so much. And do you have the pictures from Shruti ji, to show it to our audience? Or is it there?
Yeah, this is the picture. This is how I was earlier,
Okay.
and this is how right now.
Right. Oh yeah, in the right corner. I missed that. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That's an actual picture of you from before?
Yeah.
My God. I'm sure this story will go as a shock to many, from especially those outside of Kerala who are probably ignorant or not as aware of what is happening, the sinister pattern that is there in Kerala society today. Thank you so much. I mean, you two are really brave women, and I'm sure you'll continue to remain an inspiration to a whole lot of people after they watch this interview. And I hope you can join us again for a conversation on this. And I genuinely hope all of you stay safe and secure away from all these radical forces.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you so much, Shruti ji. Thank you so much, Vishali ji.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you, Sharan ji, and thank you, City Media. Thank you again.
Not at all. It's our pleasure to have you here. And thank you so much for your seva for Dharma.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, viewers, you've seen the story, so do let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like the story, please do share it, like, share, and subscribe. This is your host Sharan Sethi, signing off.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.